Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'll now call the meeting to order, and I know we're more than halfway through January, but Happy New Year. This is our first Planning Advisory Committee meeting of the happy part of the new year so far anyway. We hope the rest of the year is happy and healthful and healthy for everyone. So thank you for your attendance. So without further ado, we'll get right into the agenda here. I'll try to get out of here before midnight if we can possibly do it here, but I think it should be fairly quick.
You can stay.
Oh, don't you love this place so well? Anyway, do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof in any of the items on the agenda this evening?
I'm going to have to say yes. The staff report regarding the Emerson's application and their property out at Oak Lake. I'm sorry I don't have the staff report number and all that right in front of me here, but the Ontario numbered company that is, thanks, staff report 24003 PD. The Ontario numbered company that is listed in the report is a client of mine at Mackey Insurance. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? None noted. Thank you. Could I now have the approval of the agenda as presented? Councillor McHugh, JD. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Now I would like a motion to approve the minutes of December the 21st, and I would ask for a motion to approve and then any errors, omissions, or questions you might have. Mr. Edison, seconder. JD. Any questions, comments regarding those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, we'll move right into the public meeting of the evening, and the public meetings are conducted as prescribed under Section 3413 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, as amended for 2 zoning bylaw amendment applications affecting land in the Sydney ward and 1 zoning bylaw amendment application affecting land in the Frankfurt ward. The meeting will be conducted in the following manner for each application. First, I will identify the application being considered, and then I will ask planning staff to outline the application being considered. Then ask if there are any members of the public who have registered in advance to attend and participate in the meeting, and have any questions or comments regarding each application. If there are no public comments or questions, I will ask the committee if they have any questions or comments. And once the committee's questions have been answered, will be addressed, the committee will consider and vote on each application. If you wish to provide comments, please state your name and address for the record prior to addressing the committee. This committee has been delegated the responsibility to conduct public meetings as prescribed under the Planning Act. A full report of the meeting's proceedings will be submitted to City Council on Wednesday, February the 8th, 2024. Council will make the decision on each stated application. Anyone other than the applicant who wishes to receive further notice of Council's decision on each application must submit a written request for notice of Council's decision to the Director of Planning and Development Services. I will now ask the Director of Planning and Development Services, please advise the committee on how notice of these meetings were given. Brian, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Notice of the application has been considered this evening, given in keeping with the Planning Act, RSO 1990 as amended, by first class mail on December 29th, 2023, and posting of signs on the subject properties on the same date.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll move right into the first report. Staff report is 7.1, and the staff report is 24-00PD. 1 PD, sorry. Zoning bylaw amendment application. The owner is Greg Anthony and Shirley Davis. The agent is Watson Land Surveyors. The location is 1330 Frankfurt Road, and the file number is D09/S36/23. Madison, would you like to comment on this application, please?
Through you, Mr. Chair. This rezoning is a condition of consent application B41-23S, which was granted by the Committee of Adjustment on November 9th, 2023, in which 1 new 1.7 hectare lot was created. The purpose of the zoning amendment is to rezone the severed parcel from the rural zone to the rural residential zone and bring the lot in conformity with the zoning bylaw. The retained parcel will remain in the rural zone. The approval of this application will facilitate the development of the subject property with a residential use at a future time. There's an environmentally sensitive areas overlay on the subject property, which recognize the water course that traverses the property, which will remain in place. Overall, this application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, the city's official plan, and maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw. This application is recommended for approval.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have anyone in attendance other than the applicant who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Do we have anyone here in opposition or have any general questions regarding this application? Seeing none, is the applicant here? Would like to address the committee? Have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your attendance. Okay, if there's no further questions, comments, or opposition, we'll now ask the committee to consider the recommendation, which is to approve. Councillor Quinte,
I'll make the motion to approve.
and Councillor O'Neill seconds it. Any further comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried, thank you. We now move to 7.2, Staff Report 24-002 PD, a zoning bylaw amendment application. The owner is 2632863 Ontario Inc. The agent is Van Meer Limited. The location is 260 North Trent Street. The file number is D09/F37/23. Dale, would you like to comment on this application, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, the subject property is currently zoned as residential type 1 exception 1 zone and environmental protection zone. An application for draft plan of condominium was approved on the subject property in 2006, and a red line amendment to the previous draft plan approval was made and approved on June 15th, 2023. The red line amendment revised the lot configuration and reduced the total number of units from 46 to 43. The purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to amend the provisions of the residential type 2 exception 1 zone and create lot requirements and vacant land condominium unit provisions. The R2-1 zone will permit an interior side yard setback of 1.2 meters for single-story dwellings and a setback of 1.8 meters for two-story dwellings. The R2-1 zone will also require a 30-meter setback from the high water mark. The application is also seeking to amend the environmental protection zone location and establish an environmental protection exception 6 zone, which will restrict uses as recommended through the environmental impact study and the fisheries impact assessment. The subject lands are located within Planning District 3 of the Frankfurt Urban Serviced Area, and this district permits low and medium density residential development. The zoning bylaw amendment will not result in a change to the density of the site, but will rather allow for development to be consistent with the residential type 2 zone and adjacent developments. The city's official plan states that a 30-meter setback should be required to identified fish habitats and shall remain undisturbed and naturally vegetated for new development along watercourses. The proposed amendment will implement a 30-meter setback to the high water mark of the Trent River for all new buildings and structures. The application for zoning bylaw amendment is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms to the policies of the city's official plan, and will comply with the city's zoning bylaw. As such, this application is recommended for approval.
Okay, thank you very much, Dale. Do we have anyone in attendance other than applicant wishes to speak in favor? Anyone in opposition or have general questions regarding this application? And the applicant wish to speak or have any questions or comments?
That way your meeting will move on.
We appreciate that, Arnold. Thank you very much. Okay, hearing none. Councillor McHugh, you move it, I presume. Mr. Edison seconds. Any questions or comments from the committee regarding this application? Seeing none, all in favor of approval? Carried, thank you. We now move to item 7.3, Staff Report 24-003 PD, a zoning bylaw amendment application. The owner is Stuart and Wendy Emerson. The location is 74 Pines Lane. The file number is D09/S38/23. Madison, would you like to address this application, please?
Through you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of this amendment is to remove the holding symbol from the subject property, which would result in the property being rezoned from the Rural Residential Exception 1 holding zone to the Rural Residential Exception 80 zone. The site is part of a large property located along Pines Lane and Detler Lane that is owned by a corporation consisting of each dwelling owner therein. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment would only pertain to 74 Pines Lane and would not result in the removal of the holding symbol on the surrounding dwellings under the same corporation. The approval of this application would facilitate the demolition of the existing structures and the existing dwellings and accessory structures, and subsequently allow for the reconstruction of a residential dwelling and accessory structure with a larger setback from Oak Lake. Should this application be approved, the next step is site plan control, where the more technical details pertaining to the development will be reviewed. Overall, this application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, the city's official plan, and maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw. This application is recommended for approval.
Okay, thank you very much, Madison. Do we have anyone in attendance other than the applicant wishes to speak in favor? You can come to the podium if you wish, ma'am, and state your name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Cynthia Paquette. My home is 87 Montrose Road, but we have a cottage at 62 Pines Lane. My husband and I are in favor of this. I think it's not going to disrupt anything, and Stu and Wendy are great people, and I think it's going to improve the area. So I'm the only one here. I thought there would be more people. But anyway, I think it's a great idea, and we're in full support of that.
Thank you. We appreciate your attendance. And certainly it'll be an upgrade because there's always concerns with Oak Lake with the septic systems, and this is going to be a total upgrade. And it's going to be a plus and a bonus, I think, for the area too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Because, well, they had there was an environmental issue a few years ago, but that has been cleared up. And they have looked at the septic systems there and are looking at everyone getting their own or a group of 3 or 4 going together to get septic, but nothing has moved forward. I don't know with Stuart and Wendy doing this because they're going to get their own septic system. Is that something that will make our decision on septics to move ahead more quickly, or I don't know if that's something that the committee, our committee, Cottage Committee Corporation has to look into, or?
Well, I know they came and did a presentation here to council here back in November, I believe it was. Brian, you may want to comment on the technicalities of it, but I think they wanted council to make, as I recall, a decision on forcing, I guess, the upgrades. I think that was the gist of it, as I recall. And but maybe you would like to comment on it.
Yeah, through Mr. Chair. Yeah, that's correct. I think there's a couple of things there. So obviously, the Emersons are going to upgrade their septic system, and the Cottage Corporation might make a decision yourselves on similar work. But then there's a separate conversation going on, which is what the chair is referring to, where the Cottage Association has come to council. There was obviously the study done a number of years ago, and one potential recommendation out of that was that the city would kind of engage in a mandatory septic inspection system. That hasn't been put in place yet. We're still looking at the implications of that.
Yes.
I know obviously even the Cottage Association doesn't necessarily represent all of the residents on the lake, and there's also some implications to the municipality. So that question hasn't been answered yet, but certainly the corporation for Pines Lane could move forward with similar upgrades, and certainly the city would work with them to make those changes. Yep.
Yeah, there has been inquiry about that, but
Yep.
everything just seemed to come to a stop about a year ago. There's been nothing further has happened.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges, obviously, you have property there, so you know better than us, that one of the challenges with properties on Oak Lake is that a lot of them have been either cottage properties for a start, or at least that's the way they all started. A lot of them are on very small parcels of land, and situations like this are good because it gives the landowner the opportunity to move the septic system away from the lake and improve the situation. There's lots of properties where that's a lot more challenging. So
Absolutely.
it's fine for the municipality to want upgrades to septic systems, but that may not be possible or might be prohibitively expensive for certain properties. So we have to be quite delicate with how we deal with that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's the expense. I know there are some of the cottage owners there. They don't have a lot of disposable income, so it is going to be a concern once it moves forward.
Yeah, I think our position certainly at the moment, and as Madison said, and you might know yourself, is that we created a number of years ago a kind of a dual process for any redevelopment or even expansions, enlargements of properties on the lake, where they go through this kind of 2-in-1 process, which is the zoning plus the site plan, and we work with the conservation authorities. So, the way we've looked at it is that every time a property comes up for rehabilitation, redevelopment, we're improving the situation and we're working with the landowners. That's been our approach, and until we get any different direction from council, that will still be our approach.
Okay. Okay, thank Thank you.
Thanks for your attendance and your comments. We appreciate it. I'm sure the applicant does too, so.
Oh, I'm sure.
Thank you very much, Cynthia.
Yes, they're on, the applicants here, I guess they're on virtual or on telephone, I guess here, so, yeah. Yeah. Would you, the Emersons, like anyone, either Mr. Stewart or Wendy, like to make a comments? Go ahead.
Hi, it's Stuart. You know, we appreciate the committee's considering our application. We've been on the lake for 22 years. We have a nice sized property there. You know, the Emersons are 3 generations in that area, and the Wendy's family is a longtime Quinte residents, and you know, we're really committed to doing the right things for Oak Lake, and going to put a class 4 septic system in. You know, several meters of setback, even beyond where the proposed home would be. So we're committed to the well-being of the lake, and I reiterate Wendy's comments to thank Cynthia for unexpectedly showing up and offering her support.
Okay, thank you.
Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Okay. Well, we don't have a big audience left, just your supporter, and if there's no other questions, I will ask the committee if they have any questions, and that they might have of you. If not, Councillor Kosovas, you move it by Councillor Kosovas. I have a seconder, Councillor McHugh. Any further questions, Councillor O'Neill?
I know the mayor will be disappointed because their son played for the Golden Hawks.
So did the applicant for the former Bobcats. So there you go.
Any further comments or questions from the committee? If not, I would ask that you vote in favor of the recommendation. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Carried unanimously. Thank you very much for your attendance. Your comments regarding the applications and staff reports have been recorded and will be forwarded to the members of council together with the minutes of this meeting. Council will make a decision to approve or refuse the stated applications at the regularly scheduled council meeting of Wednesday, February the 8th, 2024. Now we are open for public input. Oh, who's going to be fighting first to the podium here? But anyway, staff, I guess you're going to have to be the public tonight. Tell us all your ills. Seeing none, we'll move on. Presentations, we have none. Delegations, none. Decision items, none. Printed information. So we have 12.1, monthly planning reports, A, zoning bylaw and official plan amendment application tracking, and the building department report, monthly to December 23 and yearly January to December 23. Entertain a motion to receive both of those. Any questions? Mr. Edison, Councillor O'Neill. Any further questions of any of those? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you. Through you to Director Jardine. Hillside Meadow project, it's great to see some apartments being built. I believe there's 3 apartments. Is this all 3 that have been approved for this year?
If you, Mr. Chair, so the project in total, as you say, is 3 buildings. I think there are approximately 30 units in each for a total of 90. They have building permits. They're building the second building right now. They have all the planning approvals for all 3 buildings, but we don't have building permits for the third one. They may come in this year. I know they're focusing on one property at a time, and I know the first property is complete and is basically full already. So hopefully we'll see the permits for the third building, but they certainly have all of their planning applications in place for all 3. Yep.
And the other is on the homestead development. I see there's 13 million in approvals. Is there more coming? Because that seems like a lot more than $13 million project.
Yes, I believe there are. The site plan was done in a couple of stages. I think the second stage still has got some work to do. So there are further buildings and further developments. There is a recreational component to that as well, which is not necessarily a lot of structures, but there's a lot of work still to do on the site. As for their timeline on that, I'm not really sure. There is a second piece of the property, which there's some discussion over potential hotel on that property as well. And staff have had some meetings with the developers on that, but no formal permits yet.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of receiving the minutes? Carried, thank you. Non-printed, we have none. We now go around the table for requests for information. Gerard? No, sir. Michael? McHugh? JD? Councillor O'Neill.
None for me, thank you.
Thank you.
All clear.
Okay, wow, that was easy. I'm going to spoil the record. I know, Brian, I've been getting some calls in the last few days regarding the floodplain study. The meeting is going to be here next Tuesday, I believe, from 4 till 8 o'clock. I know it wasn't supposed to come out until near the end of March. We were told at the board, but anyway, I guess it's got done sooner. And maybe you might want to comment, you or Kelly or whoever might want to comment on it. I know there's a couple people that have been waiting with proposed severances that they were kind of waiting to see what would happen. And I know the CEO has contacted them if they want to come and take a look at it. Of course, they query me, think I've never even seen the study myself, so I can't even answer to it. I'm not even sure if you folks have yet. So maybe if you want to comment on it, and if anybody would like to show up, they could for that meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the reminder there. So next Tuesday, yes, 24th, here in Council Chambers, there will be a public information meeting or session. So this relates to a study that's been undertaken over the last year, and it's across the full watershed. So it involves a number of different municipalities that are all working together to update all of the floodplain analysis for some of the major water courses. So for us, that's Trent River, obviously, and the Mayhew Creek system, which is under review. So we are partnering with the other municipalities that these water courses run through, and consultant has been doing that study. So we haven't seen any of the information yet. Essentially, the role of the study, as the name would suggest, is to reassess where the floodplain lines are. So obviously, all water courses, based on their flood characteristics, have setbacks within which you either can or cannot develop. So that's what's being reviewed and updated. I did have a conversation with Conservation Authority, with the CEO there just the other day, and she alluded to the fact that the study is showing significant changes in certain locations. So the characteristics of the river and the floodplain have changed dramatically since the last time that the study was done. So we're also waiting with bated breath to see what the outcome is. But obviously, once that study is done and is approved and the new floodplain lines are mapped, we will incorporate all of that into our mapping, and then that's the tools that we use to assess development applications that are adjacent to the watercourse. So as Councillor Riley said, there's lots of properties or there's potentially properties that maybe have been prohibited from developing in the future that may come out of the floodplain, but there could also be some that weren't in the floodplain that could go in. So it will affect properties potentially both ways. But the public information session next Tuesday here, there won't be a formal presentation. It's one of those. Oh, sorry, there is. I've been corrected. There'll be a presentation, and then there'll be presentation boards and information. And the staff, the consultants running the analysis, will be here to answer people's questions. So, and there's been a media release on that, and it's on the city website, and it's been promoted through other media sources as well.
Thanks very much. I just thought I'd mention it tonight because I have had some calls. I had another one today on it, and they don't understand why we don't have a thorough analysis of it. And I said I haven't even been given a copy of it yet. So, but I thought it was worthwhile mentioning tonight. So if any of the members of the committee would want to come and observe, I guess, and listen, it could affect, I guess, some things we may have to deal with down the road. I'm not sure. I know
Yes.
adjustment.
Yeah.
There's people that want proposed severances that have been waiting in limbo in a sense. So
Yes, I think to that point, and I think what we can certainly do is once the study gets to the point that the information is complete, what we can probably do is bring that information to this committee directly and maybe talk through some of the areas that are impacted the most, where we're seeing the most change, and what what the implications of that might be. So I think it's something we can probably bring to this committee, not necessarily for approval. We don't have that role. This is a technical study, but just so that the committee knows what the implications of that are. Yep.
Yeah,
Councillor Quinte.
I had a follow-up question regarding the floodplaining. Is the city or do we know if the city has put it on our Facebook page about the meeting on Tuesday?
Yep, Karen Forsman, yes, it's been, so our communications team put it on all of the social media feeds, yep.
Okay, good, thanks.
Okay. Well, I'll throw it to staff. Anybody in staff have any comments or questions or wishes or whatever? Now's your chance for your moment of glory.
Didn't have any wishes. Great.
Any revelations that's come up since the first of the years before we sign off here?
Yeah, where's,
No,
where's our official plan?
Yeah. Well, I was going to.
that's
Yeah, you beat me to it. So we had a conversation with the staff at the ministry just before the holidays, and it was on a couple of things, but we took the opportunity to prod them on where we were at with our official plan. We got very candid, well, not candid, we got very kind of restricted responses. They cryptic, yeah, is probably the best word. They effectively said that we are, I think the words you used was close to the top of the queue. Right, but there was another more technical issue that we were asking them about, and they said on the flip side, "Oh, it's okay, you've got plenty of time to get that to us." So, I read into that. I think we read into that while we might be at the top of the queue, it's probably not going to be any time in the next few weeks. Now, on the more positive side, we have not received any indication from them that they have any significant issues with the plan that we've presented, which is good. Not to say that might not come, but I suspect we're still a few months away from a decision on that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that. We'll stay tuned, as they say, and that's all we can do, I guess, until they make their merry way or merry time to finally rubber stamp it okay or whatever. But anyway, we appreciate that. Anything else, Brian, before we move on? Hearing none, if there's no other questions of the committee, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Gerard? Nobody wants a second? I guess we have to stay. JD? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, staff.